Hello and welcome to Health Matters on Channels Television. Thank you for joining us. I am Mary Alale Yusuf. The World Health Organization, WHO, defines child development as a dynamic process that encompasses physical, cognitive, social, and emotional components. It involves acquiring and improving various skills, progressing from complete dependence on parents to relative independence in childhood and later adolescence. A developmental delay is when a child doesn't reach his or her developmental milestones as expected. It usually means your child is developing certain skills slower than his or her peers. The United Nations says approximately 15% of the world's population, or about 1 billion people, live with disabilities. The WHO adds that the figure is increasing through population growth, medical advances, and aging process. My guest is Director, Friends Consult Independent Speech Therapy Services in Lagos and proprietress of Grace Shaw Inclusive School. Dr. Grace Ojamire Bamigboye is a speech-language pathologist with background in special education. You are welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Did I call the name well?
You did excellently well with that.
All right.
That was a good one. Yeah.
Tell us who gets a developmental delay.
Okay. It can happen to anyone. It is
anyone.
When you say developmental, because it happened in ages that are the developmental range. So you have developmental range of 0 to 18 years, still developmental as a minor. Yes,
okay.
If you have it can be accidents along the line. But for when you not say developmental, you are looking at it as part of those early years delays that you can link to different factors. Okay, there are different factors that could be responsible for a developmental delay.
And you mentioned one.
Why the child is growing. Yes, as the child is growing, the delay happened around that time. So it could be a delay, it could be an impairment, it could be a disorder, as long as it happened within the developmental age range. Then
it's called a developmental delay. So clear this up for us. A delay, a disability, a disorder. Are they all under this delay?
Yeah, it depends on who is looking at it. So you have different professionals who will see the child. So some people will call it a delay if it's something the child failed to attain as expected for that age range. So there are expectations for age 0 to 6 months, 6 months to 1 year, 1 year to 2. You have wide ranges sometimes for some skills. So depending on the developmental delay we're talking about and the extent to which that is deviating from the expected norm. So you have a capture where you have what should be attained for this age
like
range.
walking.
Thank you.
So some people get concerned. My child is 1.5 and it's not working.
Yeah, whereas that is the limit. So you have kids, the normal will be like walk 7 months to 18 months. If any child walked within that age range, we'll still consider it as being normal range. It's a long range.
Okay, so some of these delays are things you have to attend to really quickly before the child begins to talk. How does a mother know or a parent know before a child begins to talk that something might be wrong?
Okay, you see behavioral patterns, for example, you're singing to a child, for example, and the child is not giving you that,
smile,
innocent smile that you get that warm your heart up. And you see the child is unnecessarily cranky, you touch pain. As if the child is in pain, you look at, okay, let me feed the child. The child has aversions to food. You can't comfort the child the way you readily do. It's usually more difficult for first mothers because they don't have that experience.
They don't have a foreknowledge of what's
and
normal.
Our environment don't go home with with the nurses that are supposed to put, if only we have those
parents.
kind of...
We have those who come to help you take care of their child, and they've seen so many babies.
Yeah, okay, so you see with this, in our environment now, we have this with westernization and with social media, you even see some
mom is off to the
grandma,
office.
Yes, so, and grandpa say, well, you know, everyone is posh now. And we are missing that communal setting that we used to have in those days where you have, even if your own mother, the mother-in-law cannot come, you see the mother-in-law sending the younger sister happily. Go stay in for me. I can't make it. I have this back pain that I cannot manage. But we are losing that communal living, you know. So it's me and my husband thing. I don't want mother-in-law. I don't want this. I don't want that. So eventually you see that it's not helping individuals who are into that, you know, westernized, it's just me and my husband thing in one small space.
It takes a community,
you know,
really.
to raise a child. So because we are losing some of those close-knit arrangement that has helped the system, you know. Now, you dare not even caution another child on the road and say, please, I know how to control my child, just leave him.
Okay, tell us, can treatment or management erase a delay? What I mean is this. We already know the child is delayed, but you get the child and you're managing the child or treating the child, as the case may be, and then after a while, nobody knows he had that problem before.
It's possible. It's not a matter of erasure, but more of the symptoms, you know, well managed with early intervention measures. So the presenting case will determine what intervention method to put in place. And trust me, early intervention can really help make a lot of difference. Where the symptoms may completely go away. It doesn't mean that person didn't have that condition
before.
It's there. It's not that the person is functional, independent. Do you get it?
Yes, functional, independent, but can it be so good that nobody notices that problem is there?
Very possible. Very possible.
A while back, we were talking about autistic children.
Children living with autism.
You're a speech pathologist, so, you know, I'm interested in knowing, I've heard of non-verbal autistic children. They don't talk. And they have communication problems. And they are cranky. And those are the type that can't even meet your eyes.
They can maintain eye contact.
Okay, so how far can such a child improve, you know, so as to communicate, to get along with his peers who are considered normal?
It will be like playing God to put like how long can the child be. But trust me, if you met with the right professional and an assessment is done, managing children with autism, you need to know the trigger. You know, they're not maintaining eye contact. Sometimes it might be visual stimming. It might be the glasses that you put on they are avoiding. It might be your lipstick, that color is giving them a sensory feedback that is uncomfortable for them.
Serious?
Sensory processing difficulties. Sensory processing difficulties. Yes, so some of them might be attached or attracted to a particular color, and they will, because they are under sensitized by that color, so they will keep going for that color. For example, if they have hypersensitivity with sound, for example, then they will have to generate more sound to get a feel by generating this. So they will use anything to generate the sound to get the feel. So with children with autism, being non-verbal is as a result of the way their brain is wired and the extent of disability in terms of severity. So you now need to look at, number one, what is that function of communication for that child? The function of communication might be, what is the first thing to communicate? Of course, basic needs. So you now create first the non-verbal activities, maybe pictures that you pair with that need, that physiologic need of hunger. So when the child reaches out for water, reach out for a drink, a juice, drink, milk, whatever the child likes, then you pair, you let the child exchange a picture. So communication starts from there.
So the child wants to tell you that he's hungry.
Good.
So he gives you a picture of food.
Yes, you exchange it for food. So that's picture exchange communication system. You can also use sign language. So the child wants food, in American Sign Language.
Yes.
So you say food. So when you know the child is hungry, maybe the child is pointing to food. Non-verbal, they will use non-verbal cue. You know, mothers, people around the child almost know what the child wants. Even with cry, with movement, you almost know what that child wants. So at the time of you meeting what the child wants, just use a means of communication. So communication don't have to be verbal. In fact, most of our communication, the verbal takes less than 15% of our, as I'm talking to you and as I'm moving my hand, my expressions, they are part of communication. As viewers are looking at, they can hear me at the same time, look at the gesticulation. Yeah, however,
there's the important place of talking.
Yes.
So I want to know if there are efforts to make a non-verbal child actually speak.
Yeah, the effort will be for you to first create a bridge.
Okay.
So that bridge
With
can be
cues.
bringing in, yes, you can bring cue cards, you can bring picture cards, you can bring in sign to help the child connect. And kids that are introduced early to those, you know, support communication system, which is called alternative augmentative communication, that AAC, they are better eventually when they will connect with speech, because you can't wait forever.
So
when
it's
the
a
child
matter
talk, no one knows.
Getting a child to trust you enough to communicate with you that opens up the avenues for further development.
You tell the child that, yes, I know you have this difficulty with using verbal speech, okay? So you are creating a soft landing by putting in a means, a bridge that the child can latch on and then start communicating. So it doesn't mean you're not going to bring in speech. You still talk to the child, but you are helping the child connect. The brain must have visual image of what we're talking about. Because a child that is ignoring your name, sound, ignoring his or her name, for example, it's not connecting with other speech sound as well. So you talking to that child, it's not reaching the child. The child does not have the auditory processing for
that. But if I bring a picture and I say, this is you,
yes,
Tommy, this Tommy.
Yes.
Tommy. So he gets used to being called.
That, okay, when you say Tommy and that picture pops up, when you say Tommy, that picture, and that is me in the picture, gradually the child will have that connection. It depends on your consistency and how you overwhelm, in quotes, overwhelm the child with that means that you are trying to introduce. It's like learning a new language.
Okay, perhaps to deviate a little, but you will be the judge of that.
All right, let's see.
Some children get nonverbal after a traumatic experience.
Some.
Does that fall under your purview?
Yes, you know, you're talking about psychogenic loss, okay? Yes, even adults. Adults can experience traumatic events, and then they
so
will
there's
lose
hope
speech.
that they can actually talk.
Yeah, of course, you now don't have to do only speech therapy. You have to bring in psychotherapy.
Definitely.
So help is that pain that shuts that person down.
To get the grief out.
Yes, you even have even children with autism, some of them started talking and they stopped talking. Was it in the environment that suddenly made them not to talk? It's part of the symptom, regression. So for kids that regress, you have to feel what happened just before that regression was noticed, you know? It's not enough to say, oh, my child was talking, and now my child is no longer talking. I don't know what happened. Look, was there a fever? Was there a new nanny in the house? Was there something that, because some of them can't deal with change. Sudden change can just make them go back into their shell for children that are susceptible. Okay, so you just need to be a very observant
I hear that
parent.
happens to adults too.
Of course.
Like somebody, you know, had to go off with her husband to a new place.
Yeah.
And never got over the fact that there was no family around.
Yes, it can happen. Is that, you know, is that sympathetic system? You know, we have that sympathetic system. Or for some don't have very good control of it. So anything that we rub on their comfort, you know, can be overwhelming for some people. You know, coping mechanism for different people.
This is just too interesting.
Yeah.
We have to go on a break now. When we come back, we continue. Please stay with us. We'll be right back after now. Welcome back. It's Health Matters, and we're talking about developmental delays here on Channels Television. Get me at CTV_Mary A on X. You can also email moalale@channelstv.com while we continue talking about developmental delays, how prevalent do you think developmental delays are in our society?
In our society, we have about 10 to 12% of the children population having one form of developmental delay or the other. That's quite huge.
Okay. Do you advocate that children with delays go to the same schools as those who are considered normal?
Okay, now, well, no normalcy.
Yeah, well, there are those kids who are reaching their milestones when they should.
Differently, and some, thank you.
Should they go? Should they go to school with those people?
I'm one person that will say yes. Okay, but again, there is a flip of it where you are looking at the degree to which the child is deviating from what is expected. Okay, so you have kids that, yes, even if they are within a regular school system, I want to say regular system now, not normal. It's not normal for me. I think I would just say regular. Okay, so they are within the regular school system. Okay, it depends on that adult who is able to manage, you know, the factors that will help that child succeed within that system. Okay. I'm an advocate for inclusive education system.
But what happens when it's time for exams?
Okay,
and they have to write the same papers?
That's where I'm going. That it depends on the adult around. We want the child to succeed. So a child that is struggling because of sin that is not of his own cause. You know, it happens. It can happen to anybody. So that child is not learning at the same pace as others. So if you enroll that child, it's very important for you to look at parameters to assess that child. Excuse me, to assess the child. You don't have to place the child, on the same level as others at a start. You're going to help the child to get there. Okay. Yes. Okay, but helping the child does not mean setting the child for failure from beginning. You know, the child may not be able to express it, but the way he or she is received, with a paper, you don't know what is on it. Even without anybody telling the child, look, you failed, the child will also sense that
it's a failure, sort of.
So you want to set targets at the beginning based on assessment. Okay. So you assess
but you know, that's a lot of work for the teacher. It's a lot of work. It is.
That is why before you take in a child, do that assessment, and the owner of the school or the management of the school should come to terms with, can we help this child? So if you need to bring in a facilitator, a shadow teacher, I say never. I don't have impossibility on my plate. It is possible, but what can we do? This child can learn. All kids can learn, but what can the child learn? What is expected of that child? How can we help the child to learn? Those are the questions that we should answer.
Can a child with Down syndrome go to regular schools?
Again, it depends on the degree. You see, Down syndrome, it's a developmental disability that imposes some mental handicapping condition with brain maturation. It has to be, it's a brain maturation disorder. So the brain maturation disorder means the brain is not as mature as expected. Again, it can affect kids differently because there are different types of Downs. It's not the same. Okay? You could have the trisomy, you could have the one that is mosaic. Okay? So they are affected differently. Even the skills they can attain differently in communication and learning, social and behavior, the extent to which they are affected differ. Okay?
Okay. Would you advise would-be expectant mothers or young women to do certain things to reduce having children with these delays? Are there some things they can do?
Almighty folic acid. You see, if you...
Folic acid? That keeps coming up.
Yeah, it keeps coming up because of the function, its function. Okay, I'm not a medical doctor, but over the years, it is like with reason, wisdom. You know, it's a supplement from research. So you have neuron connections within the system, and you can actually help the brain to develop. So it's a matter of telling young couples maybe you should be more
start a folic acid thing before she gets pregnant.
Exactly. Okay, even though you know you're starting your
let's quickly
wedding.
Sorry to come in there. Let's quickly take this call from someone from Magodo.
Yes.
Femi.
Hello.
Hello, Femi. What's your question?
Can I have a number, please? Probably I don't feel comfortable talking over the...
Okay, so we'll talk about that after the program, shall we?
Okay.
Very good. Thank you so much, Femi. So, we were talking about folic acid. Anything else?
Oh, yeah. Well,
and what does
diet.
folic acid prevent?
Well,
I know one. Spinal bifida.
Yeah, it's a popular one. The same thing. Even with, we cannot, I mean, the internet is open there. Just read about folic acid. Even in Down syndrome, in most of the developmental delays, it's an almighty for me, an almighty preventive.
So people should actually be very deliberate parents.
Deliberate.
Take your folic acid before you get pregnant.
As long as you are planning to get married, and having kids is part of the package. Understand? So start a healthy lifestyle. Not just the folic acid.
Yes, you spoke about diet.
Yeah, diet. Eat the proper meals. What they taught us from primary school, balanced diet. You understand? Eat
not restrictive diet, but balanced. Okay, you are saying balanced. Yeah. You didn't say restrictive.
No.
You didn't say cut this out. No, cut that out.
Saying, no. Eat everything in adequate proportions. Okay. Eat everything. They know your system. Okay, it's not the same for... You might also want to spend that extra naira with the doctor to check you, do some chemistry, take your blood sample, know how your system works, have information of what your system is like, okay? It's very important. Sometimes those things are cheaper where you are more into preventive. They say, what do you call that line? Prevention is better than cure. It's still true till tomorrow. You may want to do small checkup there. You intending couples, check out yourself. Go back, look at the family. Your family, is there anybody with developmental delay? So that we're looking at genetic tendencies. Because that is the only thing that is sure. Genetic line.
Can somebody find or discover a delay with prenatal diagnosis?
Yes.
Is it allowed? Is it legal?
Well, the risk is very high, okay? But these days with advanced technology, you can do the amniotic sampling where you take the sample in the uterus. You can take samples and you can test and see whether the child coming is Down syndrome.
Okay, we'll get back to that. But Ijoma is calling. Hello, Ijoma.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your question?
So I have a child that have a Down syndrome. And before during the pregnancy, I was also taking folic acid. But the very day that I was supposed to deliver, my BP went up. So that's the cost of that.
Did you say
the day I supposed to, BP went up.
Okay.
Like they are trying to bring down the BP. I'm already in labor. So the doctor tried to save my child. She has the problem. They said the fluid now enters her brain. So I think I was taking my folic acid very, very well because it's my fourth pregnancy. So I don't think folic acid has anything. Sometimes, let me not say, I don't think it has anything.
I'll let my guests clear that up.
Okay, I will clear that.
Ijoma.
Yeah. Okay, Ijoma, thank you very much for your call. Okay, what she just described now, okay, so she took all her antenatal,
she did everything right.
She did everything right, but at the last minute, she developed preeclampsia. Okay, so preeclampsia is sudden.
Nobody can predict,
by the way, okay? It can happen at any point, but some people can, so if you do your antenatal properly like you're supposed to they can check, okay, the urea content,
So there's still some signs
when
along the line. Such a thing is about to happen.
Yeah, there will be, okay? So they can control. But some people, you know, sometimes the cause is unknown. So you can, some mothers can just go from 0 to 100 preeclampsia, and you cannot even explain.
I'm going to have you back. We're out of time because
okay.
I want us to know how we can deal with this in Nigeria effectively.
Good.
But for now, it's over. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Femi. Thank you for Ijoma for your calls. And have a lovely day. I'm Mary Alale Yusuf.